Obina Ben's hands trembled as he stared at his phone screen. The bank notification glowed in the darkness of his bedroom. Transfer successful. 25,000 naira to Chioma M. Okere. His heart stopped. Number. No. That money was supposed to go to Joy, his office secretary, not to his wife sleeping peacefully beside him. But let me take you back 3 hours to understand how a stingy man's generosity to the wrong woman would destroy his carefully hidden double life. That evening, Obina sat on a wooden stool in his family compound in Umuafo village, smiling at his phone like a man planning something sweet. His wife, Chioma, was outside frying akara over the firewood, humming gospel songs. She had no idea what her husband was about to do. For 3 years of marriage, Obinna had been the stingiest man in 7 villages. He locked their provisions with a padlock. He counted every grain of rice. He gave Chioma 2,000 naira for weekly market runs and expected miracles. If she asked for money to plait her hair, he would lecture her about natural beauty and waste. But at the village cooperative office where he worked, Obinna became a different man. For Joy Adama, the beautiful secretary from the neighboring village, he had transformed into Oga Ben, the generous boss who bought meat pies, sent airtime, and promised the world. Joy knew exactly how to play him. She called him Oga Ben with a sweet voice that made him feel like a king. She laughed at his jokes. She made him feel important, respected, and admired, everything he thought he was missing at home. 3 weeks ago, Joy had come to him with tears in her eyes. Oga Ben, my landlord is threatening to throw me out. I owe 3 months' rent. I need 25,000 naira. Without thinking twice, Obina had promised to help. 25,000 naira. The same man who argued with his wife over 200 naira for soup ingredients. Now, tonight, was the night. Joy had sent him her account number that morning with a voice note. Oga Ben, I am waiting. My landlord said today is final. Please, you are my only hope. Obina's chest swelled with pride. He would be her hero, her savior, the man who rescued her from disgrace. He opened his banking application, typed in the amount, 25,000, and carefully entered the account number. His fingers moved quickly in the dim light of the kerosene lamp. He double-checked the amount, smiled, and pressed send. Transfer successful. He grinned and whispered to himself, that is how real men handle business. But he had made a terrible mistake. In his excitement and poor lighting, he had clicked on Chioma's account instead of Joy's. Both accounts were saved in his phone. Both names started with similar letters. And in his rush to impress Joy, he had not noticed. 2 minutes later, Chioma's phone beeped in the kitchen. She wiped her oily hands on her wrapper and picked up her phone. When she saw the notification, she nearly dropped it. Credit alert, 25,000 naira from Obina Ben. She stared at the screen, blinking slowly. Her hands began to shake. 25,000 naira from her husband. The same man who had told her yesterday that he was broke when she asked for 500 naira to buy soap. Chioma's mind raced. Something was very wrong. Obinna would never send her this kind of money willingly. Never. Not the man who locked their rice container and labeled it 1 cup per day. She wanted to run inside and confront him. To demand answers. To ask him where this money came from and why he sent it now. But something stopped her. A quiet voice in her spirit, perhaps her grandmother's wisdom from beyond, whispered, "Be silent. Watch. Wait. Let God expose him." Chioma took a deep breath, saved the alert, and went back to frying her akara. But her heart was pounding, her hands were shaking, and a small smile began to form on her lips. For 3 years she had suffered under this man's stinginess. For 3 years she had begged for basic necessities while he walked around like a financial prophet. And now, mysteriously, 25,000 naira had landed in her account. She did not know why. She did not know how. But she knew one thing with absolute certainty. This money was a gift from God, and she was going to use every single naira. Inside the house, Obinna hummed a love song and put his phone away. He felt good, generous, powerful. He had just solved Joy's problem with a single transfer. Tomorrow at the office, she would thank him. She would call him her hero. She would look at him with those admiring eyes. He walked outside and saw Chioma at the fire. "My wife, how is the akara coming?" Chioma turned and smiled. A strange, mysterious smile. "It is coming very well, my husband. Very well indeed." Obina noticed something different in her voice, but dismissed it. Women were always emotional about small things. He had no idea that his carefully constructed double life was about to explode in the most spectacular way possible. And it would all start tomorrow morning, when Joy would send him a message that would make his blood run cold. But tonight, he slept peacefully, dreaming of gratitude and admiration. While beside him, Chioma lay awake, planning her shopping trip to the market town. The gods of the village were already laughing. The next morning, Chioma woke up before the roosters crowed. She had barely slept, her mind racing with plans. Beside her, Obina snored peacefully, completely unaware of the storm that was coming. She checked her phone again. The alert was still there. 25,000 naira, real, solid, hers. Chioma quietly got out of bed, washed her face, and began preparing breakfast. Her hands moved automatically, slicing onions, lighting the stove, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. In the market town, in the clothing shops, in the places she had walked past for 3 years, window shopping with empty pockets while her husband's money sat locked away. When Obina woke up and came to the kitchen, Chioma greeted him with unusual cheerfulness. "Good morning, my husband." "Your breakfast is ready." Obina looked at her suspiciously. "You are very happy this morning. What happened?" Chioma smiled mysteriously. "Nothing special. I just had good dreams. Very good dreams." Obina shrugged and ate his breakfast quickly. He was eager to get to the office. Joy would have received the money by now, and he could already imagine her grateful voice note, her sweet thank you message. The moment his motorcycle disappeared down the village path, Chioma moved like lightning. She bathed, dressed in her best wrapper, and tied her headscarf. Then she went to her neighbor, Mama Ngozi. "Mama, please, I need to go to the market town. Can I join you on your motorcycle?" Mama Ngozi looked surprised. "Market town? But today is not market day. And where will you get money?" "Your husband." "God has blessed me," Chioma interrupted, her eyes shining. "I will explain later. Can we go now?" Something in Chioma's voice made Mama Ngozi ask no more questions. 30 minutes later, they were riding toward Niui, the nearest market town. At the market, Chioma transformed into a different woman. She walked into the big clothing shop, the one she had always admired from outside, and the salesgirl looked at her with barely concealed contempt. Village women rarely bought anything expensive here. "I want to see your best wrappers," Chioma said firmly, "the Ankara and the George material." The salesgirl's attitude changed immediately when Chioma pulled out a bundle of cash. Within an hour, Chioma had bought 3 expensive wrappers, a pair of quality shoes with heels, a beautiful handbag, and human hair attachment for braiding. "Madam, you are spending well today," the salesgirl said, now all smiles and respect. "My husband surprised me," Chioma replied, loud enough for other customers to hear. "He sent me 25,000 naira yesterday." Just like that, no reason, just love. The women in the shop murmured with envy and admiration. A generous husband was a rare blessing indeed. But Chioma was not finished. She went to the provision store and bought rice, beans, groundnut oil, stockfish, crayfish, and Maggi cubes. She bought the good palm oil, not the cheap one. She bought real tomatoes, not the ones that would spoil in 2 days. By afternoon, Mama Ngozi was staring at her in shock. "Chioma, where did you get all this money?" Chioma smiled. "I told you. God blessed me. Divine transfer." She took a selfie in her new wrapper and shoes, looking more beautiful and confident than she had in 3 years. Then she posted it on her WhatsApp status with a caption, "When your husband remembers you are his wife. Love is sweet, God is faithful." Within minutes, her phone began buzzing with messages from friends and family members. "Chioma, what happened? Your husband finally opened his eyes. This is a miracle." Chioma replied to each one with the same mysterious message. "Just thank God with me." Miracles still happen. Meanwhile, at the village cooperative office, Obina's perfect morning was about to shatter. He sat at his desk, checking his phone every few minutes, waiting for Joy's thank you message. But nothing came. No call, no text, no voice note. Strange. By 10 o'clock, he could not wait anymore. He sent her a message. Good morning. Hope you received it? Problem solved. Joy's reply came 5 minutes later, and it made his stomach drop. Oga Ben, I am checking and checking. Nothing has entered my account. Are you sure you sent it? Obina's hands began to shake. He quickly opened his banking app, went to transaction history, and clicked on yesterday's transfer. When he saw the recipient name, the world stopped spinning. Chioma M. Oker. Not Joy Adama. Chioma, his wife. His wife. The phone nearly slipped from his sweating palms. His heart pounded so hard he thought it would burst through his chest. 25,000 naira. Sent to his wife. The wife he had been starving for 3 years. The wife who now had evidence of money he claimed not to have. Jesus Christ, he whispered. What have I done? He sat frozen at his desk, his mind racing through scenarios. Should he call Chioma and ask for the money back? How would he explain it? Should he tell her it was a mistake? But then, she would ask questions. Whose money was it? Where was it supposed to go? Every option led to disaster. Joy sent another message. Oga Ben, my landlord is here now. He says if I don't pay today, he will lock my door. Please, what is happening? Obina's hands trembled as he typed. There is small network issue. Let me check with the bank. Give me time. But there was no network issue. There was no bank problem. There was only his own stupidity, his own carelessness, and now his double life was hanging by a thread. He tried calling Chioma. Her phone rang, but she did not pick up. He tried again. No answer. Where was she? Why was she not answering? Did she know? Had she figured it out? Obina's chest tightened with panic. For the first time in 3 years, he felt completely powerless. The money he had foolishly sent was gone. Joy was demanding answers, and his wife was mysteriously unreachable. He put his head in his hands and realized with cold certainty that his secret life was about to explode, and there was absolutely nothing he could do to stop it. Chioma returned to the village compound at sunset, her arms full of shopping bags. Mama Ngozi helped her carry everything inside, shaking her head in amazement. Chioma, I have known you for 3 years. I've never seen you buy this much. Your husband must have received a promotion. Chioma smiled quietly. Something like that. Thank you for taking me, Mama. After Mama Ngozi left, Chioma unpacked everything carefully. She hung her new wrappers in the bedroom wardrobe where Obina would see them. She arranged her new shoes by the door. She placed the provisions in the kitchen, filling containers that had been half empty for months. Then she cooked the best meal she had made in years. Jollof rice with chicken, fried plantains, and a rich vegetable soup. The aroma filled the entire compound. When Obina's motorcycle pulled up at 7 o'clock, Chioma was ready. She had bathed, changed into one of her new wrappers, and was setting the table. Obina entered the house and stopped dead. The smell of expensive food hit him first. Then he saw Chioma in a wrapper he had never seen before. Then his eyes moved to the wardrobe, slightly open, showing more new clothes. His throat went dry. "Welcome home, my husband," Chioma said sweetly, serving his food. "I cooked something special tonight." Obina could barely speak. Where did you get money for all this?" Chioma looked up innocently. "Money? What money?" "The food. The wrapper. I saw new things in the wardrobe." Chioma smiled that mysterious smile again. "Oh, those. God bless me. You know how God works. Sometimes blessings just fall from heaven." Obina's heart pounded. She knew she had to know, but she was playing with him, like a cat with a mouse. "Chioma," he said carefully, sitting down, "did you receive any strange alert yesterday? Maybe from the bank?" Chioma pretended to think. "Strange alert? What kind of alert?" "Like money. Maybe money you were not expecting." Chioma laughed. "My husband? Which bank sends me money? You are the only one who can send me money, and you always tell me you are broke." She placed the plate in front of him. "Why are you asking these questions?" "Just eat. The food will get cold." Obina stared at the chicken on his plate, but he had no appetite. Every bite felt like sand in his mouth. His wife was definitely playing a game, and he was losing badly. After dinner, he tried again. "Chioma, I am serious. Check your phone. Maybe the bank made a mistake and sent you something." Chioma's expression changed slightly. She put down her cup and looked at him directly. "Obina, are you trying to scam me? If money enters my account, is it not mine?" Or are you saying someone sent me money by mistake and now you want to collect it? No, no, Obina said quickly. I am just checking. You know these banks. They make mistakes sometimes. Oh well, if they made a mistake and sent me money, then it is my lucky day. The Bible says we should not question God's blessings. Chioma stood up and started clearing the plates. Stop worrying about things that do not concern you. Obina wanted to scream. He wanted to confess everything, but shame held his tongue. How could he tell his wife that he had meant to send 25,000 naira to another woman? How could he explain that he had been generous to a stranger while starving his own home? That night, Obina could not sleep. He lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, while Chioma slept peacefully beside him. Or at least she pretended to sleep. In reality, she was wide awake, smiling in the darkness, enjoying every moment of his suffering. She knew exactly what had happened. A man does not accidentally send his wife 25,000 naira. Not a stingy man. Not a man who counts every naira like it is his last breath. The money was meant for someone else, another woman. And somehow, God had redirected it to the right place. Chioma had no intention of giving it back. Not 1 naira. She had spent it wisely, invested in herself, and bought things she deserved. If Obina wanted to confess, he could, but she would not make it easy for him. The next 2 weeks were torture for Obina. Joy called him every day, demanding her money. Her landlord had given her 1 final week to pay or face eviction. She sent him voice notes crying, begging, and finally threatening. Oga Ben, if you do not send my money by Friday, I am coming to your village. I will find your house and collect it myself. I do not care who is there. Obina panicked. If Joy came to the village, if she confronted him in front of Chioma, his life would be over. He begged her, sent her small amounts to calm her down. 1,000 here, 2,000 there. But it was not enough. At home, Chioma continued her silent warfare. She wore her new clothes every day. She walked with new confidence. She smiled more. She even started a small provisions business in front of their compound, using part of the money to buy stock. Neighbors noticed the change and congratulated Obina. Your wife is glowing. You must be treating her well now. Obina could only force a smile while dying inside. At the office, his colleagues began to notice his stress. He stopped joking. He barely ate. He jumped every time his phone rang. Brother Chidi, his co-worker, pulled him aside one day. Obina, what is wrong? You look like a man being chased by masquerades. Nothing, Obina lied. Just stress. But it was not just stress. It was guilt, fear, and the growing certainty that his carefully hidden double life was about to explode in the most public and humiliating way possible. On Thursday evening, 3 weeks after the accidental transfer, Obina received the message he had been dreading. Joy, Oga Ben, I have borrowed motorcycle. Tomorrow, I am coming to Umwafa village. My landlord has locked my room. I have nowhere to sleep. If you do not have my money ready tomorrow, I will tell your wife everything. I do not care anymore. You have pushed me to the wall. Obina's hands shook so badly he dropped his phone. This was it. Tomorrow, his world would end. Joy was coming to his village, to his compound, in front of his wife, his neighbors, and the entire community. He thought about running away. He thought about borrowing money from somewhere. Anywhere. He thought about confessing to Chioma tonight and begging for mercy, but pride stopped him. Shame paralyzed him, and so he did nothing. That night, he sat outside under the udala tree, holding his head in his hands, while Chioma watched him from the window. She saw his shoulders shaking. She saw his defeated posture, and she knew that tomorrow the truth would finally come out. She went to bed early and prayed a simple prayer. God, let justice be done. Let the village see who this man truly is. Tomorrow would be a day Umwafor village would never forget. Friday afternoon arrived hot and heavy, the kind of heat that made chickens hide under bushes and old men seek shade. Chioma was outside frying a kara for her provision shop when Mama Ngozi rushed over, her eyes wide with gossip. Chioma! There is a strange girl at the compound gate asking for your husband. She's wearing a red dress that looks like it was painted on her body. Chioma's heart skipped, but her face remained calm. A girl? What does she want? I do not know, but she looks like trouble. The type that follows married men. Chioma wiped her hands slowly on her wrapper. 3 weeks of waiting had led to this moment. She had known it was coming. The mysterious money, her husband's strange behavior, his sleepless nights, it all pointed to one truth, and now that truth was standing at her gate in a red dress. "Let me go and see," Chioma said quietly. By the time she reached the gate, a small crowd had gathered. In the village, unusual visitors attracted attention like honey attracted bees. Standing there, looking uncomfortable but defiant, was Joy Adama. She was exactly what Chioma expected: young, pretty, with makeup that was too bright for a village afternoon and clothes that were too tight for respect. "Good afternoon," Chioma said politely. "Can I help you?" Joy looked her up and down with barely concealed contempt. "I am looking for Obina Ben. I was told this is his compound." "Yes, this is his compound. I am his wife. What do you want with him?" The word wife made Joy hesitate for just a moment, but desperation made her bold. "I need to see him. It is urgent. Office business." Chioma smiled slightly. "Office business that brings you to our home on a Friday afternoon? That must be very serious business." Before Joy could answer, Obina appeared at the compound entrance. When he saw Joy standing there, his face drained of all color. He looked like a man who had just seen his own death certificate. "Joy," he said weakly, "what are you doing here?" "What am I doing here?" Joy's voice rose sharply. "Oga Ben, you have been dodging me for 3 weeks. My landlord has thrown me out. I have been sleeping in my friend's shop. Where is my 25,000 naira? The compound went silent. Even the chickens stopped clucking. Mama Ngozi gasped. Uncle Emeka, who was passing by, stopped to listen. Children playing nearby froze. Chioma's voice cut through the silence like a knife. 25,000 naira? Joy turned to her, tears of frustration streaming down her face, ruining her makeup. "Yes, your husband promised to help me pay my rent. He was supposed to send me 25,000 naira 3 weeks ago. He sent it, but I never received it. Now he has been avoiding me, sending me small money here and there, but my landlord has thrown me out." Chioma turned slowly to look at her husband. Her face was completely calm, but her eyes were blazing with a fire that made Obina step backward. "Obina," she said quietly, "is this true?" Obina opened his mouth, but no words came out. His brain had stopped working. His carefully planned explanations, his rehearsed lies, everything vanished like smoke. I can explain." "Explain what?" Chioma's voice was still quiet, which somehow made it more terrifying. "Explain how you wanted to send another woman 25,000 naira for rent, while I was here begging you for 200 naira to buy soap?" By now, more people had gathered. Mama Blessing came out with her mortar and pestle. Brother Chidi arrived on his bicycle. Even some children from neighboring compounds ran over to watch. Joy, realizing she had walked into something bigger than she expected, tried to defend herself. "Madam, it was just help. I work in his office. He promised—" "Help?" Chioma laughed bitterly. "My sister, let me tell you something. I have been married to this man for 3 years. 3 years. In those 3 years, he has locked our provisions with padlock. He counts how many times I cook rice. He gives me 2,000 naira for 1 week's food and expects miracles." Her voice grew stronger, addressing not just Joy, but the entire gathering crowd. "This man tells me every day that there is no money, that we must save, that I am wasteful. But he had 25,000 naira to give to you for rent?" Joy's confidence was crumbling. The crowd's sympathy had clearly shifted to Chioma. Uncle Emeka spoke up, his voice hard. "Young woman, you came to a married man's compound to collect rent money. Do you have no shame?" "I did not know he was starving his wife," Joy protested. "He told me he wanted to help." "Help?" Mama Ngozi snorted. "Help is when you give someone money for medicine, not for rent. Rent money is what a man gives to his wife or his girlfriend, not his office worker." Chioma raised her hand for silence. When she spoke again, her voice was like steel. "Let me tell you all what happened. 3 weeks ago I received a bank alert. 25,000 naira from my husband. I was shocked. This man, who has never sent me more than 5,000 naira in our entire marriage, suddenly sent me 25,000? She looked directly at Joy. I knew immediately that it was a mistake. That money was meant for someone else, so I decided to wait and see who would come looking for it." Joy's face went pale. "You mean You spent my money. Your money, Chioma's eyes flashed. It came from my husband's account to my account. How is it your money? But it was meant for me. He promised. Chioma stepped closer to Joy, and despite being older and more simply dressed, she suddenly seemed much more powerful than the younger woman in her red dress. Let me explain something to you, sister. When a married man promises you money that he is hiding from his wife, you are not receiving help. You are receiving stolen goods. And now you have come here to claim what? Sympathy? The crowd murmured in agreement. Just then, a commanding voice cut through the noise. What is happening in my village? Everyone turned. Chief Amadi, the village head, was walking toward them, his walking stick tapping the ground with authority. The crowd parted respectfully to let him through. Chief Amadi surveyed the scene with the sharp eyes of a man who had settled many disputes. He looked at Joy in her inappropriate dress, at Obina trembling like a leaf, at Chioma standing tall with quiet dignity, and at the crowd of witnesses. Somebody explain the situation to me, now. And in that moment, Obina knew that his disgrace was about to become official and permanent. Chief Amadi stood in the center of the compound, his presence commanding instant silence. Even the evening birds seemed to quiet their songs. He looked at each person carefully before speaking. Mama Nyosi, tell me what is happening here. Mama Nyosi stepped forward eagerly. Chief, this young woman came to our compound demanding 25,000 naira from Obina. She says he promised to pay her rent, but he sent the money to his wife by mistake. Chief Amadi's eyebrows rose. He turned to Obina. Is this true? Obina could barely speak. Chief, I wanted to help her. She works in my office. She was going to be evicted. I tried to send her money, but I mistakenly sent it to my wife's account instead. So you admit you tried to give this woman 25,000 naira? Yes, Chief. Chief Amadi's face hardened. And how much do you give your wife for household expenses each week? Obina's voice was barely a whisper. 2,000 naira, Chief. The crowd gasped. Chief Amadi struck his walking stick on the ground with a sharp crack that made everyone jump. 2,000 naira for your wife, but 25,000 for this stranger? His voice was like thunder. Obina Ben, son of Ben Okafor, who was my friend, is this how your father raised you? To starve your home while feeding the streets? Obina fell to his knees. Chief, please forgive me. I made a mistake. I was foolish. Chief Amadi turned to Joy, who was now visibly shaking. And you, young woman, what is your name? Joy Adama, sir. Adama. Chief Amadi's eyes narrowed. From which village? Obiagu village, sir. Do you know Chief Adama of Obiagu? Joy's voice trembled. He is my uncle, sir. Chief Amadi nodded slowly. Your uncle is my friend. Does he know you are here collecting rent money from married men? Tears began streaming down Joy's face, washing away her makeup in dark streaks. No, sir. Did you know this man was married when you asked him for money? Joy hesitated, then whispered, Yes, sir. Did you know he was starving his wife while promising to help you? No, sir. I did not know that part. Chief Amadi's voice softened slightly but remained firm. Young woman, go back to your village. Find honest work and build your life with dignity. If I hear that you are troubling this compound again, I will call your uncle myself. Do you understand? Yes, sir. Joy turned quickly and walked toward the gate, her high heels clicking rapidly on the compound ground. The crowd parted silently to let her pass. Some looked at her with pity, others with contempt, but no one spoke. When she disappeared from view, Chief Amadi turned back to Obina, who was still kneeling. Stand up. Obina stood, his legs shaking. You have disgraced yourself today. You have disgraced your wife. You have disgraced your family name. Chief Amadi paused, letting each word sink in like stones into water. Your wife received that money. Whether it was your mistake or the god's intervention, it is now hers. You will not ask her for 1 naira of it. Do you understand? Yes, Chief. And from today, you will treat your wife with the respect she deserves. If I hear one more complaint about you locking provisions or counting rice, you will answer to the Council of Elders. Am I clear? Yes, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Chief Amadi turned to Chioma, and his stern face softened into a gentle smile. My daughter, you have shown great wisdom and patience. You did not fight. You did not create scandal. You simply waited for truth to reveal itself. This is the mark of a woman with a good spirit. Chioma bowed respectfully. Thank you, Chief. Enjoy your blessings. You have earned them through your suffering and patience. He looked around at the gathered crowd. Let this be a lesson to everyone. The man who starves his home to impress outsiders will be exposed by his own hand. The gods miss nothing. Amen, the crowd responded. Chief Amadi walked away, his walking stick tapping a rhythm of justice into the evening air. The crowd slowly dispersed, whispering and shaking their heads. Mama Nyosi squeezed Chioma's hand. You have won today, my sister. God fought for you. When everyone had left, Chioma and Obina stood alone in their compound. The silence between them was heavy with shame, anger, and something else, perhaps the first honest moment of their marriage. Chioma! Obina's voice cracked. I am sorry. I am deeply sorry. Chioma looked at him for a long moment. She saw not the proud, stingy man who had made her life miserable, but a broken person who had finally hit the wall of his own foolishness. Sorry is just a word, Obina. What matters is what you do next. I will change, I promise. I have heard promises before. Chioma turned to walk into the house, then stopped. But I will give you one chance. Just one. Not because you deserve it, but because I believe people can change if shame teaches them wisdom. 6 months later, the village had moved on to other gossip, but Obina and Chioma's story lived on as a lesson told around evening fires. Obina had indeed changed. He no longer locked provisions. He gave Chioma money freely. He helped in the compound. The proud calculator-carrying man had been replaced by someone humbler, quieter, and genuinely trying to rebuild trust brick by brick. Chioma's provision shop had grown. She now employed 2 young girls from the village. Her confidence had blossomed like a flower finally given water and sunlight. One evening, as they sat together under the udala tree, Obina said quietly, You know what the elders say now? They call our story the accidental blessing. They say the gods used my foolishness to correct my life. Chioma smiled. Maybe they are right. Sometimes God's greatest mercies come wrapped in our biggest mistakes. Obina reached for her hand. She let him take it. Thank you for not giving up on us, he whispered. Thank you for finally becoming the man you promised to be. As the sun set over Umwafo village, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, 2 people who had been strangers in marriage slowly began learning how to be partners. The road ahead was still long, trust still fragile, but for the first time in 3 years, there was hope. And in the village square, Chief Amadi told their story to the young men gathering for evening discussion, ending with words that would be repeated for generations. The hand that refuses to feed its home but reaches out to strangers will one day feed its home by mistake, and that mistake will become the greatest teacher of all. The young men nodded, understanding the wisdom. Some lessons, after all, can only be learned through public shame and divine intervention. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment at the comment section below.